welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your transformation guru, Samya Bano. Are you overcoming big challenges in your life? Do you want to transform the world? Is fear holding you back from taking the bold action you need to create massive positive change? If so, keep listening and transform that fear into freedom. Hey, last episode we started talking about the idea of creating change with love. And I made the point that before we can even begin to think about what change to create or how to create change with regards to whatever issue you're struggling with, first, you have to feel the love. If you don't feel the love, how can you make change with love? You can't. So the first assignment that we have to take on in this process is to work on rekindling the love, so to speak. And I was sharing with you that my definition of love is this experience of oneness. The feeling of love is actually a result of our realizing, of our recognizing that we have the sense of oneness, that we have this connection, this interdependence, and with this other being or this other thing. Whatever you feel connected with, that's what you feel love towards. See, actually that feeling of connection is, in a way, the feeling of love. And I suggested that you pick a person that you're currently feeling some conflict with, and you practice empathy and compassion towards them. Right? Because it is our practice of empathy and compassion that lays the foundation for our being able to love them, for our being able to experience, to recognize that connection that we share with them. So I hope that you have begun that practice, that you identified someone you can practice more empathy and compassion towards, and you started it, and hey, perhaps you've already gotten some really good results from having done that, and if you have, amazing, a big high five and congratulations from me to you. Now, even if you have not as yet started on the practice, no worries. It's never too late. Okay, and I actually have a suggestion for you on who you can pick, on someone that, not who you can pick, but who you actually absolutely must pick. You know, if you have already got someone you're working on, great, keep that up, and you have to add this person to that list and give them an extremely high priority. Okay, and if you don't have anyone else on your list, that's fine. Put this person on your list, and they're your top first person, and you have to give them extremely high priority. So, are you ready to get my suggestion? Hear my suggestion on who this person is. This person is you yourself. That's right, you yourself. Because think about it. Who are you most closely connected with? Is there anyone besides yourself that you can be more closely connected with than you are with yourself? I mean, you have your most intimate relationship with your own self. You're with yourself 24/7. You are the only person who can hear your thoughts, who can feel your feelings. The only person that, my gosh, I mean, that can know, like all the details of your life. No one else can know you with the level of intimacy that you already know yourself. So, one would think that you would love yourself the most, that it would be really easy for you to love yourself the most as well. Unfortunately, for most of us, that's not the case. For most of us, the very fact that we know ourselves so intimately, that we know not only the good things about ourselves, but we also know all the not so good things about ourselves so intimately, that prevents us from being able to love ourselves as much as we can love ourselves. There's a lot of blaming and judging that goes on internally, right? It's like sometimes, in fact, we may be our own harshest critics. We may judge ourselves even more harshly than anyone out there. There are people out there who cannot bear to be with themselves. They constantly need the distraction of being in the company of other people, or to be constantly distracted with various kinds of entertainment or work, so that they don't have to be with themselves, because they cannot bear to be with themselves, and they just can't take it. It's like if you tell them, okay, you just have to sit in silence, and you're not allowed to do anything. You just have to sit there in silence with yourself, be with yourself for so many minutes or so many hours, let alone so many days. Whoa. It's like there's people who begin to freak out at that very thought, that very idea. They're not able to do it. Now, I hope that is not quite so bad for you. If it is, okay, no worries. Look, one of the most important things we can do to love ourselves more and to love ourselves better in a more deeper way is to practice not blaming and judging ourselves. And it's not to say that, we're turning a blind eye on any shortcomings, or if there is like a mistake that we have made, that we, refuse to acknowledge it or something. No, not at all. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. We have to take responsibility for how we think and how we feel and how we act. The critical thing about taking responsibility is not blaming and judging. In fact, you don't have to blame and judge anyone or anything in order to take responsibility, not even your own self. If you have been a faithful listener of this show, then you will have heard me talk about this concept of responsibility as we have learned it, or I learned it from Marshall Rosenberg. Now, Marshall Rosenberg, who is one of the fathers of this idea of nonviolent communication, he says to take responsibility is simply to recognize that we are always response-able, meaning we are always able to respond. No matter what the situation is, we are able to respond to it. There's no need for blaming or judging anyone, even ourselves. Because whatever happens, we recognize that we did the best we could with what we knew and what we had. We did the best we could. And if there have emerged results that we're unhappy with, well, you know what? We are response-able. We're able to respond to this circumstance. We're able to respond to this situation to help us keep moving forward. There's something we can do to make things better now, based on what we have learned now from what has happened, based on the superior knowledge that we have now, having gone through the experience. And the very experience that produced these results that we're like, oh, we don't like these results. It's like a learning process. So let's be grateful for the learning and shift our focus from what the problem is or what happened, because we can't change that now. Let's shift our focus to what we can do and how we can move forward. And let's do that. Okay, so get action oriented. So this practice of not blaming and judging ourselves, one of the most important practices that we can cultivate to help ourselves love ourselves more, love ourselves better. So that's one thing. Now, there are other things, of course, that you can do to just love yourself more. The basic idea here is to pay attention to what it is that you're feeling, pay attention to what it is that you're needing, and do the best you can to meet those needs. Make it a high priority in your life to be respectful of your own feelings and needs, and to do the best you can to meet those feelings and needs, just as you would for anyone else that you really dearly love in your life. Whether it's your children or your parents or your husband, your wife, your partner, your best friend, whoever it is that you love with all your heart in your life, you do the best you can to help them, to support them in the most positive ways, don't you? That's right. So now it's time for you to do that for yourself also. So to whatever extent you're doing that already, awesome, amazing. And now let's step it up. One step further. Take it one step further. Love yourself even more fully. So, this is actually the essence of what it means to create change with love, right? That you only change what you love. And you change, when you think about changing someone or changing something, it is not because, you think that is a bad thing or that is a bad person or there's something wrong with them. No. To change with love means you're coming from a spirit of, hey, I'm grateful for what I already have. I'm grateful for who this person is, what this thing is. I'm grateful for what they're already contributing to my life. And I want us to keep growing and becoming even better. Become even more beautiful. Become even more functional. Become even more effective. Or whatever it is, where there's room for growth and improvement. So that is like the underlying spirit with which, you approach creating change with love. It's not about blaming, judging, or, finding shortcomings. It's just about, wow, how can I enhance what we have to make it even more beautiful? What can you do to love yourself even more? To become even more of the best of who you can be? So think about that, and more importantly, take action on that. Do it. Do whatever it is that you can do to love yourself even more. And if it's something that you find yourself struggling with, please don't struggle with it on your own. Reach out for help and support. And I'm one person you can reach out to. Just go to my website at academyofthriving.com. Click on the contact us page and you'll see how we can connect. Until we connect next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.